Robert Plank Show, episode 260, Multi-Channel Marketing, Website Retargeting, Email Analytics, Social Media Traffic, and Postcard Marketing with Neil Berman. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the program. We're joined today by Neil Berman from Deliver.com. So Mr. Neil, how are things today?
Well, we're calling from Indianapolis, and the weather over the weekend, and today's in the 60s. It doesn't get any better than that in February. So, yeah, we're doing great here. And other than the weather, business is good. And, I was married 8 months ago and having a good time and a lot of fun with my new spouse.
Awesome. I mean, just firing on all cylinders, just living the dream. And so, I mean, other than this new exciting life in Indianapolis and this new spouse, other than those important things, I mean, what in business has kind of got you energized and fired up lately?
I would say, long story short, multi-channel marketing, all connected through a single database, is really working well for us, for our clients, and from what I read in my research, is the next phase of making it on the internet.
Awesome. So you're not only reading about it, but you're doing it. And so can you kind of explain to us about what multi-channel marketing means exactly?
Okay, so we started out as an email marketing company, and that is currently the bulk of our business. However, what we found is that people get a lot of emails in their inbox. I call it the blizzard of emails. And in order to get people's attention, it's important to use more than one channel. So don't think of email by itself, but think of it in conjunction with your website, with your blog, with your social media, with texting. We call that SMS. And then finally connect that with, if you're large enough, with a call center or a personal call. And then finally, don't forget postal. Having all of that work together increases response rates dramatically.
Awesome. And so just to make sure that we're all kind of following along here, the way I've kind of heard it explained to me is different things were if someone reads an email that you've blasted out, but they don't click, you can have it fire off a text message, or maybe if they click on an email and they go to a website, but they don't quite buy yet, you can have it shoot them a postcard. And so is that sort of on the right track as far as how these different, like you said, the SMS and the social and the blog and all this kind of fits together?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And what's changed is the cost of the technology and the resources needed to implement it has dropped dramatically in the last few years. This used to be an enterprise, tens of thousands or hundreds of $1,000 task. Now, for as little as $100 a month, at least on our platform, you can execute on these multi-channel campaigns.
Awesome. And so we mentioned a couple of times that you guys have a platform that does all this. So can you kind of sort of start to kind of unpack everything about this Deliver service that you have?
So using some examples, this drip marketing multi-channel might sound, a little bit complicated, but here's some simple examples to start with. What if someone goes to your webpage and looks at a product or a service you sell? The challenge in sales and marketing is the timing or the urgency of the sales opportunity. But what if you could send an email to that person that talks about the content that they just looked at? Or what if you could fire off a glossy brochure through postal that gets in their mailbox? Or finally, what if you could send a lead alert to your sales staff to call this person up and say, hey, by the way, are you interested in XYZ? Knowing that they were just looking at that content. That's the key to the multi-channel marketing is the sales opportunity and nailing that intent right when it's about to happen.
Awesome. And I sort of notice a lot of big companies doing that to me, especially like Amazon. If I look at a certain book, for example, a certain camera, then those ads will follow me around on Facebook, and then maybe after a while I'll get an email just about just that product. But it seems like with Amazon, it kind of ends there. And so as you're describing this, am I right in sort of hearing that? So maybe someone can be looking at a certain product in a store, on someone's shopping cart or something, and not only do you recommend that they shoot off an email about that thing, but there can be a whole follow-up sequence just about this one item that they kind of looked at but didn't quite buy. Is that sort of a possibility there?
Well, it's not only a possibility, it's a reality. But think of yourself. If you're surrounded by these advertisements in different places that all address your immediate need, would you be more apt to buy or not? I'm suggesting that you're increasing your chances of converting a sale, by doing more than just sending another email.
Right, instead of just blasting it, and even even us marketers, we kind of even I sort of forget sometimes. Like if an ad follows me around, for example, I'll sort of forget that I was looking at an ad. Like there's almost like I have to like work my brain to remember that. Oh yeah, I'm seeing this ad because I got cookied, and my first reaction when I sort of see one of these ads like following me around on the internet and stuff like that, I kind of think like, oh, they must know me pretty well, because like what are the odds, like this total coincidence that I happen to be looking at this and I happen to see the same ad, it must be fate, when in reality it's just kind of this system where I've been cookied and kind of followed around there.
Yeah, and we use that successfully. Those cookies last for 90 days and then they go away. So, I think they're very timely. You don't necessarily get people buying because of the ad, but you're certainly maintaining awareness and that brand image. So it pays off if you continue and are consistent with that spend.
Awesome. So do you have sort of in your back pocket or something, do you have like a case study or an example in some kind of sort of interesting niche where you made this happen for like maybe someone else's business or something like that?
Well, since you asked, we have a client that sells restaurant supplies. So this is a little niche-y, and they sent out an email a while back with plastic garbage cans that were on sale. And one of the recipients, clicked through on the email because they had their website navigation at the top to a site, to a page that sold, walk-in freezers and coolers. So what we did is sent a lead alert to one of their salespeople saying, hey, this person that received, this email of yours landed on the cooler page, give them a call. So he did, and turns out he's remodeling his kitchen and spent tens of thousands of dollars on new equipment. That restaurant supply company and that sales guy would have no idea unless they called up and asked, what's going on in your business, that they're going to be remodeling. But the email alerted this person, and he offered up that information online, and our platform and others like ours took advantage of that opportunity and let our client know that they need to follow up quickly.
Awesome. So it sounds like to me, like in this particular case study with the lead alerts, that it can kind of work on the business end of things too, right? Because like when you mentioned multi-channel marketing, and from what little I've seen, what comes to mind to me is like the retargeting and stuff like that. But it sounds like because like all your contacts are connected and stuff, if somebody say clicks on a link in an email and goes to a web page and they stay on that page for an hour and they don't buy, or they add to a shopping cart and don't quite buy, or they keep going like 10 times. Can you set a trigger in that sort of way, like if someone clicked on a link 10 times but didn't quite buy, to then alert like your call center or alert your employees to then call that contact up on the phone? Is that a thing?
That's a thing, and you can wait for the 10 clicks, or you can send 10 alerts to every time they click, and any combination thereof.
Awesome. So crazy stuff we've been kind of talking about so far. And so, there's all these possibilities and all these things people could do. And I mean, you have your service and you have people using your service. Is there anything about this multi-channel marketing thing that is kind of underutilized, that like this really cool feature that you don't see being used enough?
I think the problem isn't necessarily underutilizing of features, although you could always do more of whatever you're doing. What I see is a lack of time spent on the analytics. And by that I mean, you can't just set it and forget it. You have to go back in and see what's working, see what's not working, and adjust accordingly.
Okay, so can you kind of give me an example of that, of maybe like if someone is using your service or using a service like yours, and they go and check their analytics? I mean, what kind of things should they be looking for, or what kind of decisions could they make based on what's in front of them?
Well, I'm going to suggest to begin with doing what I call segmentation. And there's three basic groups or segments, buckets, so to speak. There's the people that don't respond at all, or there's the triggers on the web pages that are creating no activity, On the other hand, there's a group that's always active. I call these your favorites. And then there's some people in the middle that sometimes are active and sometimes are not. So when I'm looking at analytics, I'm looking to divide up these three groups of people. And the ones that are very active, I know I'm doing the right thing. I'm not going to touch that. I'm just going to leave it alone. For the groups of people or the triggers I've got on web pages that aren't working at all, I got to ditch that and start over with something new. And then for the people in the middle, you got some judgment calls there. But how can I make that activity go up a notch at a time? So that's where I would start if I had to start from scratch.
So if you're looking at those analytics, you're looking at those three groups, you say, all right, the people that aren't responding, I should just kind of not bother with them. The ones that are fans, I don't want to mess with that. But that middle group, they're ones that are kind of active, but maybe could be doing more or could be buying or whatever a conversion is for me. I mean, what do you kind of drill down into? Do you look at like the demographics, or do you look at the traffic sources where they're coming from? Or like, when you look at just that little group, I mean, what kind of things are you looking for usually?
Well, I'm looking to put myself in the shoes of those recipients. Now, I need to know something about them other than an email address, of course, because just because someone's clicking or not clicking, or opening or not opening, or surfing the website, doesn't tell me enough to really be successful. I want to overlay some demographics and try to understand the persona of that participant, so I can think about, okay, if I was them, what would get me to act? And so from a marketer or a sales standpoint, you're trying to sell, you're thinking about yourself, but there's an old saying about putting yourself in the other person's shoes, and that's really an important aspect of getting it right.
Fair enough. And so if you're trying to get into someone else's shoes and you're kind of looking at those email addresses, I mean, what's your thought process? Like, how do you go about kind of doing that sort of thing?
Okay, well, in our system and our competitors, we'll track everything you do for months and even years if we need to. And, I'll go through and analyze that data to find out what's happening and when, and if there's any trends, and run some reports so I can graph out certain groups of people and try to find some commonalities. And if I can, then I'll do some testing. We call that A/B testing or split testing. And, when I get that subject line right, or if I want to get that content right, or get the right image in that email, which we can change out dynamically, I'm going to stick with it. But, it's not, people say to me, Neil, what's the best way to create a subject line? And I said, you got to test. I wish I had the answer to that. If I did, I probably wouldn't have to come to work.
Awesome. And so we're kind of talking a little bit about split testing or A/B testing, and I've done a little bit of this, but obviously not enough, and I'm not using a system that's as sort of as advanced and connected as yours. And I've heard a little bit about how so you send sort of like just to keep it simple, like you send the same email and then make one subject line have a question mark at the end, and the other subject line has no question mark, and sort of see which one wins. And so I've heard of that being done in sort of like the simple way where you just kind of send out half to email to half of the list, the other half of the list, and sort of see later. And I've also heard about the ones where it sort of sends out a few emails, and then based on the winner in that small subgroup, then it kind of sends the winning email to the rest of the group. Does your system do it like the simple way or that more crazy advanced way?
Well, it does it both ways, but the advanced way is not crazy, and it's not much harder. We call it the 10-10-80. So I'll send 10% of the list one subject line, I'll send 10% the other, and then I'll select the winner. And the winner could be based on opens, clicks, or purchases. And whatever that winning combination is that I select, it'll automatically send the 80% of the email variation that's doing what I expect it to do.
Awesome. And so, as we're kind of going into these different sort of, pretty amazing techniques, and it's almost kind of bordering on magic, at least if you think about the people receiving on the other end who they might not have seen these techniques used on them before. I mean, how did this Delivra company of yours come about? Was it just a matter of like you saw that there could be a better way, or did you have your own frustrations? Like, how did this thing get to be born?
Well, interesting story. Previous life, I was a CPA, an accountant kind of guy, and had a midlife career crisis. decided I needed to do something different. So this was 1999, 2000, and we had the dot-com boom, and that looked pretty interesting to me. So I decided to be an intranet entrepreneur and took the plunge. The way I landed on email, coincidentally, is a previous boss of mine said, Neil, if you ever want to start a business and if it meets these three criteria, go for it. And the criteria were faster, better, cheaper. So that's one element. The other is my wife was working at the post office at the time, and I'm at home at my dining room table trying to figure out what to do, and everybody's building websites. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, I had that light bulb moment where I thought, well, you know what? How are people going to find these websites? I wonder if email will be a replacement for postal. So I applied the three criteria. It's certainly faster, it's cheaper, and it's more convenient. So that's how it started. And then I took the plunge and bought a $50 a month bulk email program. And when that ran out of gas, bought one for $1,000. And when that ran out of gas, I spent more. And then finally had enough money where I could hire my own developers. And today, Delivra has got its own proprietary platform, and we send out billions with a B of emails per year.
Awesome. So you really know your stuff, and that whole the three criteria: faster, better, cheaper. I mean, that should be like on a T-shirt or on a poster or something. But I guess as a newly married guy, maybe that can get you in trouble, right? Faster, better, cheaper.
Oh, well, I won't count on that. But let's just say I didn't make up the three criteria, but if they're applied properly, it could be a shortcut to success.
That's really good advice, and and along those two kind of lines of seeing how things are and building a better mousetrap. Like I always hear over and over again that email is dying, and it feels like I've heard this for 10 to 15 years. And usually when someone says email is dying, they're trying to sell me something that's like a text blaster only, or some kind of Facebook course. And your way makes a lot more sense to me, where it's well, don't just kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater. Email's working along with these other things. But I mean, what are your thoughts on the next 5 or 10 years? Do you see email getting kind of edged out more and more by social media, or do you think email will always be around? Will it be completely dead? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Email is really the base channel. It's the infrastructure of the internet that ties everything together. So if you have a LinkedIn account, you cannot open that account without an email address. Same thing with Facebook, same thing with Twitter. All three of those social sites contact me at least daily, telling me so many people looked at my profile, or I might want to sign up for these Twitter accounts that are similar to others. So I don't see email going anywhere with that regard. And then finally, as a commercial channel, it's the one we all expect to get offers on, and it's accepted. And there's a lot of other channels where, we might get a little bit more irritated more quickly if there's too many ads.
Awesome, good answer, and I agree with you there. That with Facebook, sometimes I'll be in the mindset to buy something on Facebook, but that seems pretty rare. And as opposed to email, I mean, I'm used to it, and I'm used to if I open my email, I know I'll get a bunch of marketing emails from people who I've chosen to subscribe to or people who bought from. And when I see an email message, if I know the name as a marketer, I know the subject line. It's like I'm on that list. If I didn't like that marketer, if I didn't like buying, I would have unsubscribed, so I'm sort of already in that kind of frame of mind and ready to buy. And so, I don't want to keep it too long, but as we're winding this down, I'm really curious about Delivra, which we've talked about a little bit, but I just kind of want to know in your own words, who exactly is Delivra for, and why should someone choose that solution as opposed to some of your competitors out there?
Well, a good question. Delivra is a solution for a small to mid-sized business in the range of maybe $5 to $50 million in sales. We're a move-up solution from Constant Contact or MailChimp. We're a right-size solution for Marketo or HubSpot that are a little bit more expensive. And the reason you come to Delivra is you're buying the right amount of technology, and included with that, you get a coach. So we believe email is more than a tool. You need some guidance and some help and someone that's a real person to talk to and bounce some questions off of. And that's what Delivra does differently.
Awesome. And so you mentioned that when people buy into your service and they can do all this email marketing, all this cross-channel stuff, and they also get a coach. So I mean, what does that mean exactly? Is there like a phone number they can call? Is it chat they can always go to? I mean, how sort of accessible is your customer service there?
Well, everybody has a dedicated account manager. You have their name, their direct phone line, and their email address. And if you haven't done a drip marketing campaign, you want to ask some questions and get some guidance. And your dedicated account manager is there to get you started and keep you successful.
Awesome stuff. And I'm looking at the website right now, and I looked at the pricing page as you were explaining that, and I'm pretty blown away. Like the price that you charge is way cheaper than what I would have expected, having heard about all the multi-channel marketing stuff you have, and all the you get their direct line, you get their email, you get the chat. So that's pretty amazing how low the price is. And so everyone should go right now to Delivra.com. That's DELIVRA.com. And before we sign off, Neil, I mean, is there anything else that you want people to know other than Delivra's awesome? It does all kinds of cool stuff. You should get it. Anything else people should know?
Well, if you do go to the site, we have some offers I would suggest you take advantage of. One, you could sign up for a free trial. Two, you could sign up for a 5-minute video tour. Three, you could download a white paper, which we have featured on the site, why you should do drip marketing. And then finally, if you want to give us a call, we'll have a sales rep on the line to guide you appropriately.
Great stuff. So 4 amazing reasons to go right now to Delivra.com. You can get that free trial, get the video, download the white paper, or just call someone to have a real live human being explain it to you. So everyone should go right now to DELIVRA.com. That's Delivra.com. And thanks so much, Neil, for sharing a bunch of your wisdom with us today.
Thank you, Robert. Pleasure talking with you.
Go right now to robertplank.com/iTunes to subscribe to the show, listen to other episodes, and rate and review the show.